Today I fucked up by masturbating with cooking oil. Hello Reddit. Today after work, TIFU. After a long and hectic week of work and extracurriculars, and before a weekend trip out into nature, I was excited to have a night to myself tonight. No roommate home, no friends or partner visiting, nada. Just me. I got home from work, undressed, and immediately hopped into the shower with my phone in one hand and my recently acquired fleshlight, here in Anastasia, in the other. Only to realize that I had no lube. No big deal, I'll use cooking oil. After some quick googling, I was convinced I'd be fine. I quickly walked into the kitchen, grabbed the first bottle I found, and headed back to my running shower. I lubed up Anastasia, and, well, you know. After 30 seconds, though, I noticed the head of my womb broom was a little itchy. Normally this would be a little concerning, but given the mental state I was in, I chose to ignore it and keep at my Friday night date with Avantasia. 2 or so minutes later, the itching was much less a tickle and much more a pervasive, all-encompassing sensation. At this point I was actually genuinely worried, so I pulled out of Anastasia and to my horror, saw that my entire tan banana was more a red, swollen, sad banana. And of course once I saw it, the sensation got 100x worse. And then I remembered 2 very important things. 1, my roommate had recently mentioned switching to cooking with almond oil as a personal health experiment. 2, I'm allergic to almonds. So, yeah. Now I'm sitting here on my bed, half high on Benadryl with an ice pack in my lap. Russell the one-eyed muscle barely fits in my boxer pouch, and looks more like a deflated balloon than his former triumphant self. And I didn't even get to finish. Too long didn't read, fucked my fleshlight accidentally using almond oil as lube, with an almond allergy. Balloon dick ensued. Oil tends to break down and damage silicone too, so Anastasia may be fucked in more ways than one. You need to spend less time naming things and more time reading things. Man, you could be all over the porn sites with this discovery. Tanned banana. Instead of busting a nut busted you. I guess you figured out how to enlarge your penis. Our scientists hate him. Today I fucked up by saying the F word wrong for years. Okay, so obligatory, this happened about 9 years ago. Sorry for formatting and stuff, I'm on mobile blah blah blah. Okay, so as a kid, about 7, I didn't even realize people said cuss words outside of movies until I heard someone say the B word outside a Walmart. So you get the idea of my upbringing around cuss words. Fast forward to my mom leaving to meet a friend. Just me and my dad at home, and we decided to watch a movie. Super 8 I believe. We watch the movie and it's May. My mom gets home. She asks what we watched and if it was good. She casually asks if there were any F-bombs and my dad goes, yeah, there was one. At this point in my life, I legitimately had zero clue what the F word could be. However, in the movie, one of the boys called the other one fickle. I had never heard that word before in my life. I thought to myself, fickle must be the F word. I felt like a king having figured it out. Fast forward about a week and me, my mom and my sister are driving in the car. I decide to confirm my theory by saying words similar to fickle and see how my mom reacts. I decide to start with chuckle, except change the CH to an F. Only one letter from fickle. Little did I know, F-cle. I was literally saying the F word with a few extra letters and not realizing it at all. My mom says, "Why are you saying that?" And I reply, "Why, is it close to the F word?" To which she says yes. I'm now sure that the F word is fickle. A year or so goes by. I forget my fascination with the F word pretty quickly. However, as we are trying to decide what to have for dinner one night, my dad calls my mom fickle for not being able to decide. I gasp and stare in horror as the rest of my family looks at me confused. I say, "You just called mom the F word!" And they stare at me like I'm crazy. Eventually they tell me fickle is not the F word, and I figure out out what it is about a year later. Too long didn't read, thought the F word was fickle. It was not. Don't say chuckle around your mom. Edit, for those saying I was sheltered, yeah I really was lol. I was homeschooled from the start. Not for any specific reason, just cause my mom wanted to, I guess. I did sports and stuff, but that's it. Keep in mind I was like 7 or 8, so I wasn't watching R-rated movies that had the actual F word in it, so. Mother fickler, that's funny. What the fickle is an R-bomb. Rootin' tootin'. Today you fickled up. This is better suited for r/kids airy fucking stupid. Don't you mean r/kids airy fickling stupid? You must have been really sheltered, dude. I grew up in Utah and know some of the most sheltered, literal polygamists, homeschooled, no television or newspaper or radio, people in this country. I didn't have to teach them swear words. They taught me. Today I fucked up by being too kind/naive. This actually just happened about 30 minutes ago. I was doing groceries and had my mask on. It's obligatory here. I got complimented on it by this elderly man. Thought it was just nice and continued shopping. Later in the store, I ran into him again and he started to talk to me. Now I work with the elderly and I have heard countless stories of people feeling/being lonely, so I figured it would probably be really nice for him if I just chatted along. After I left the store he came up to me and invited me over for a cup of tea/coffee. I politely declined, but he persisted that it would be just for 5 minutes. Having a soft spot for the elderly, I agreed. My gut was telling me this guy was probably nice anyway. He insisted on carrying my bags and kept telling me about his life and asking me about mine. What could go wrong? We arrived at his small apartment and it was a nice and clean place. I felt comfortable. He made me a cup of tea and we continued talking. However, I did notice he kept shoving his chair towards me a bit, until he was ultimately too close for comfort and I shoved my chair backwards. He did apologize, as he also did for touching above my chest when talking about my good heart. At this point I started feeling a lot less than comfortable and was drinking my hot tea as fast as possible. The burns on my tongue were worth it. His son came in at 1.2. That is when he moved his chair back to a proper distance. That did set off some alarm bells. When I finished my tea, he kept asking if I would come again. I used my boyfriend as an excuse to say I didn't think so. One last thing he tried before I left was pull my collar to expose the chesticles, but I was quick and held my sweater, and therefore chest area, with my arms so it didn't budge. I made sure to get TF out of there as quickly as possible after that. When people tell you to stay away from strangers, you probably should, so you don't end up in a bad/uncomfortable situation like I did. Nothing major or horrible happened, but I certainly needed to get this off my chest, because I was definitely uncomfortable. TL, doctor, elderly man asked me to come over for cup of tea. Out of empathy/pity for the lonely I agreed. He acted quite inappropriately and I got out of there ASAP. Edit, because I don't want people to fight over it in the comments. I definitely do not think his actions are on me. I fucked up by not listening to the advice I have been given all my life. Don't go with strangers, cause even though I am not a kid, I could have gotten hurt or worse. That is why I fucked up. Second edit, to the people who are being kind and asking if I am okay, I am. Truly, I am doing a-okay, and even though I am a bit shaken up, it is a healthy amount that won't have any lasting damage on me. Thank you for your kind words. I just want to give you permission that in the future you can leave any situation that you feel uncomfortable. You don't need an excuse and you don't need to be polite. You can say I have to go now and walk out, or just walk out without saying anything. You are not being rude. They are being rude to put you in that situation and making you uncomfortable. You do not owe anyone your time or energy. Not to scare you, but this person could have really hurt you when you went to his apartment. In the future, please do not do this. Careful consuming stuff from strangers too. Always thought it was interesting how willing people are to eat or drink from strangers. I always thought all the old people were kind, but since I joined Reddit my views have entirely changed. There are some creeps. My heart is going, but I believe that most of them are good. My rationality is going, bad people get old too. Good lesson learned for you. Glad you're safe. Maybe not go to that store for a while in case he's creeping for you there. That is probably a really good idea. Luckily there are plenty of grocery stores in my area. Just for the future BC, I haven't seen it mentioned here anywhere. Don't go to strangers' houses. I'm sure now you'll be a bit more aware of how easy it is for people to take advantage of you. There's nothing inherently wrong with being kind and wanting to provide a human connection. However, learning your boundaries is so important. Always have strangers meet for a cup in a public place like a coffee shop. If they resist or try to convince you otherwise, they are up to no good and are trying to manipulate you. I'm glad you are safe now.